Thank you. I'd like to observe a moment of silence for the following. Roberta Drury, a former student of the North Syracuse Central School District. Alan Komanecki, a retiree of the North Syracuse Central School District. Jean Moran, a retiree of the North Syracuse Central School District. Donald Blaylock, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Joe Zaharick, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Charlene Davis, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Dorothy Spinella, a graduate of the North Syracuse Central School District. Christy Tucker, a former student of the North Syracuse Central School District. And Virginia Ginny Shock, a retiree of the North Syracuse Central School District. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Crabtree.
People, since I knew him personally. Jean Moran, when I worked at Main Street, when Main Street was an elementary school K through 5, she was one of our phys ed teachers at that school and did a marvelous job. And then when she retired, she came back as a substitute, and wherever I was, Bear Road or wherever, she had a smile on her face and she loved kids. And seeing her obituary, that was a beautiful picture of her. The next one, Virginia Shock, or everybody knew as Ginny Shock. I was fortunate in 1980. I was a Title I teacher, wasn't quite Title I, for math in our district for grades 3 through 5. And Kevin, her son, was in my room at Main Street. And I got to know Ginny. Then we got closer because my godparents and her husband were friends. So Christmas time and in the summer, we would all get together. It was a whole group of people. And the guys were all into the fire department and so forth. And the ladies would be in the kitchen talking. But more importantly, she was a teaching assistant in this school district. She was president of the teaching assistants. I know our Don and them had to negotiate with her, and I'm sure they would tell you that she was calm about it and she was always there for the kids. But the one thing I will never forget is that the teaching assistants stood up and do a scholarship every year for either a young man or a young woman that's mom or dad was a teaching assistant. And she would stand up there on stage and give that scholarship. And that's what, just a wonderful person. It's a loss. And thanks to John and Mindy for letting me know. There will be a special celebration on June 1st, and I hope many of you go. It will be at the Spinning Wheel to celebrate her life and what she did for this district. But the one I'm very, very upset about is the first one, and that's Roberta Drury, who not only was a CNS student, but also attended OCM BOCES. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dr. Cook, for the words that you gave us. It's time to stop the hatred in this country. Some young lady who was picking up groceries for her friend, this should not be happening in our country. And I'm tired of reading about this day in and day out. Young people right here in Syracuse, New York, that lose their lives. And we need to stop this. So thank you, Dan, for your words of wisdom, and also Dr. Cook, who gave OCM BOCES his words. This needs to stop. We're the United States of America, and we all need to work together. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Okay, we have the North Syracuse Education Foundation grant winners, and I believe Carolyn Gross and Jackie Forte were going to present these on behalf of the foundation.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I don't want to turn my back to you guys, so I'm going to kind of do a halfway. I'd like to invite everybody from our board who's here and our student reps and parents to come on up too, so you can shake hands with the grant winners. So before we announce the grant winners for this year, I wanted to acknowledge one of our senior student reps is going to be graduating this year, Jacob Groffalo. And Jacob, I have news for you. You are going to be winning a $500 scholarship from the foundation this year for volunteering with us for over 2 years. Thank you. We'll talk more about that later, but he didn't know that till just now. So this year, we're really excited because the Education Foundation was able to kind of get back in the swing of things now that COVID has settled down somewhat. We received 10 grant applications from across the district. And this year we awarded just over $15,000 in grants, which is a record for us in a single year. Not that we haven't budgeted for $15,000 every year, but that we haven't either received appropriate grants or like last year, we got one grant application for about $235. So we're really excited to see that all the fundraising that we do and the money that our endowment with the CMY Community Foundation produces for us is going to good use, because that's the purpose of a charity, to keep rolling the money in and rolling the money out. So for those of you who don't know, we are a nonprofit organization. We are a 501c3. We've been operating in the district for 20 years. We're actually doing our $20,000 for 20 years fundraiser this year, and it's going to run through the end of 2022, which is our 20th year. And we're looking for everybody in the community, whether business owner, resident, parent, to donate whatever they can to help the foundation continue to go. But what we do have in place is an endowment that we built down at the CMY Community Foundation, and it has about $210,000 in it right now. And it produces income every year that helps to keep this going perpetually, even if we were to stop fundraising. So with that, I'd like to introduce Carolyn Gross, who's our secretary, and she's going to talk about each one of the teachers who've applied for a grant, what their grant was for, and they're going to come up here and get their certificates.
Hi, our first person, she's not here tonight, is Corey Patterson. She's a music teacher from Cicero Elementary, and her grant for grades 3 and 4. She'll work with about 110 students with this project. We're going to purchase, ORF instruments. It's the bass section. We've purchased ORF instruments for her before, and ORF instruments like a xylophone, that kind of a thing. So 3rd and 4th graders will participate in ORF assemblies. They will sing, perform independent parts on ORF instruments. They will have 4 chorus and ORF ensembles throughout the year. Every student K through 4 will use the grant materials for years to come. And I just sent an article into Lori Cook, and hopefully that'll be in the on the Friday thing, and you'll be able to see pictures of that.
And she has a concert tonight. I believe,
Right, that's why she
using
can't hear.
the instruments that we've gotten her in the past.
So all board members, you can go see that, and families, watch those ORF instruments in. Our next person is Peggy Parker. She's from Bear Road Elementary, and her grant was for Inchy Worm vending machine. Now, we're going to purchase a vending machine, and the way Bear Road will use it, they're going to use it to recognize and reward students, demonstrating positive character traits. So it's like a positive thing for the school. Students will have the opportunity to earn tokens, which will be used to purchase books from the machine. So
Yeah. We're really excited about your grant. I am so excited about this grant. I can't even tell you. I actually called the CEO of the company that makes these vending machines because I was trying to cut us a really sweet deal. And we've kind of struck up a friendship. And in the fall, even though you're going to be retiring, I think you're going to be probably coming back for this event. He's committed to sending their Inchy the Bookworm mascot here. And we're going to do a huge kickoff. And with all that he's told me about how they do this, they have districts that have purchased like 50 of these machines, and he's right down the road in Buffalo. So why not come here, right? And I'm going to be working with everybody at your school to make sure that this turns out to be amazing. And our board actually approved an additional $500 above and beyond, because we don't just want the generic Inchy the Bookworm, because you just did a beautiful building over at Bear Road over again. We're going to have it match your school with your school mascot and everything else. So it's going to look incredible. So I'm so excited. I can't wait. So Peggy, come on up. Congratulations.
And thank you for your, as much as I absolutely love this. This has been in the making for a couple of years, and of course, COVID and everything else kind of changed a few things, but I am retiring, and so I feel like this might be sort of a legacy, but it was also written on behalf of our entire building. So everybody wanted this. We just didn't know how to go about getting it. Our PTO was, trying hard to see if they could help in some respect. Oh dear. So our PTO is definitely behind it. So in the future, they'll be the ones purchasing the books for the vending machine. We have $1,000 to get us started on those books, so it'll fill it, and then we'll have leftover. So I am so excited and so appreciative of this. So thank you, everybody. And Jackie, thank you for your definite enthusiasm over this. It shows through even in your emails. So thank you very much.
And thanks to Olivia Cams. She's been fabulous as the building principal over there. Even though she's interim, her and I have been talking about this for a very long time. And with you and her working together, it's just been really awesome so far.
Great.
So
we're
please
working
shake
on the
everybody's
design.
hands. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
I believe that was one of the largest grants we funded. It was over $6,000. So.
Those vending machines are expensive.
Yeah.
Our next person is Shannon Proctor. And she's also from Bear Road Elementary, and she's the music teacher in grades K through 4. And she is receiving ORF instruments for musical development. And again, we're saying they're a xylophone, like a mellophone or a glockenspiel. And these are something that'll help her music class and students develop their musical abilities.
Thank you so much.
Our next person, is she here? Karen Siemens.
Oh, she's not here.
She's not
She
here.
was gonna be here. Okay.
I'll say Karen is receiving, her grant was Marching to the Beat of Our Own Drums and Cymbals. And she's at Gillette Road Middle School, grades 5 through 7. We're purchasing 4 lightweight marching snare drums, 4 sets of cymbals. And that grant will update and enhance an existing classroom library and current, I'm sorry, wrong one. Grant will supply instruments to use during lessons, concerts, and parades. They do parades now.
Yeah. So we did a grant like this several years ago through Danielle Rousa when she was at
Right.
Roxborough Road Middle School. And Karen asked for the same thing because those kids are. physically
I was just
smaller.
going to say, the
They
kids
have
are
to
smaller.
Go
Yes.
with like a bigger drum is too hard for them to carry.
Yep.
So we're getting smaller ones.
And especially the cymbals also. They're much smaller and it's so much easier for them to crash, to use it. I am a retired music teacher. I used to work at Gillette also as a band director.
And Bear Road.
At Bear Road. Okay, our next person is Sarah Bambino from the high school. She grades 10 and 11. We are purchasing a classroom library of books for her. The purpose of the grants to update and enhance an existing classroom library with current new bestsellers, books made into movies, or discussed on social media. That's a really big one.
Yeah. How many grants have you won in your teaching career?
I don't know. I'm
Every year.
don't know
Sarah's the
exactly.
amazing grant writer.
it's the English teacher thing, I think. Maybe 8.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
8.
please.
Did I get it right? Did you know the answer?
I don't know the
Yeah.
answer, but I just know every time we review these grants, they're blinded, so we never know what teacher is actually putting them in. Sometimes we have teachers who put in 2 in a single year, which is completely allowable and encouraged. So your grants are always extremely well written. They're very complete. You follow the directions. Your budget is perfect. And this year, even going through the process, we had a board member who brought up, the titles and if they would be approved. And Chris Leahy worked with us to make sure that everything going into your classroom will be appropriate. And so congratulations yet again.
Thank you.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Our next grant will be funded by the district through our efforts, I think. We, the three people who are coming up are from the middle school, and they applied for the grant. We always turn them into the superintendent's cabinet, and they say, well, this is good, this will work, this won't work, technology especially like that. So this one is being funded, so hopefully we pushed it a little, and it's Colleen O'Connor, Stephen Bacon, and Brian Knoll. Their grant is called Problem Solving with Legos. They're going to add another layer to their afternoon STEM Innovators program. The Lego Spike Prime materials will build on current opportunities, but will add problem solving and hands-on engineering solutions. Students will be able to develop programming skills on 2 levels, Scratch block programming and Python, whatever. I don't know Python, but they'll do really well.
Yes, yes. One of the nice things about us working in cooperation with the team is that sometimes there's opportunities to fund things that the district has the budget for, and they just don't know that there's a particular need. So by putting the grants through the DO first, it allows us to make sure that A, there's no conflict in technology, there's no conflict with some sort of a contract that's in place or whatever that we would be messing with. We don't want to do that. And it also allows us to not have to fund something if funding already exists. But we still need creative teachers to come forward and put in the requests. So I'm excited not only that you got your grant and that it's really innovative for STEM, but also that we didn't have to pay for it this year. So congratulations.
This is exciting. My son's a tech teacher in Homer. So when I see a tech thing come through, I really get excited.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So that was our last grant. I would just invite anybody who might be watching or listening to this to check us out at NSCFweb.org or on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. Please donate to our fundraiser. If you'd love to come and be a volunteer with our organization, if you're a student in grades 8 through 12 and you'd like to volunteer, just send us an email at info@nscfweb.org and we'll get back to you. Thank you.
And we have our Jacob is going to pass out a little gift.
Oh, yeah. Jacob has hand sanitizers from the foundation for everybody who's here today in the audience and up here on the tables.
Thank you so much.
Good job. Good job.
Okay, thank you. Continue handing out the sanitizer, though. Okay, we next have a presentation for the Carl W. Siley Bearwood Elementary School renovation update. Mr. Irwin.
That's a little better. There we go. Oh, sorry. All right, well, I want to start out with just a quick thank you. The community was very supportive in our last referendum, as was the board. We appreciate that very much. The project team is dedicated to providing value-added projects for the district. We take our commitment seriously, and we appreciate the trust you place in us. We're really here to do things in a fiscally responsible manner as we go forward. So at Bear Road. Oh, I forgot this was a fun slide. We'll let this one carry through. This is one of our videos from previously. So this shows you some of the finished classroom spaces. So we've now occupied better than half of the building. The area down the hall from the cafeteria is on the verge of being turned over any day now. We're going to see a few pictures of some of those classrooms in a moment. And we continue work on what I call the administrative wing, or A wing in the project, which constitutes the music and art rooms along with the administrative offices, counseling offices, et cetera. Okay, so looking at the drawing here, if you look at the very top, the top right-hand corner is the cafeteria. As you move to the left, those are the spaces that are currently under construction. As we move down on the left side and across the bottom, those are the spaces that we've been actively occupying. And as you go all the way out to the right, that's the administrative wing that we're finishing up over the course of the next month. So as we talked about a little bit, we're expecting substantial completion in mid-July. B wing down the hall from the cafeteria is very close. A wing is a month or so behind it. The courtyard, we're expecting to finish up this week, as long as the weather continues to cooperate. We've got a bunch of paving to come up here in July. Our new signage out front is a little bit delayed. We had some supply issues, but it will be here in the fall. So we do expect to see it before snow flies. As far as reoccupancy goes, we're providing boxes. Faculty are preparing to pack up here in the month of June as we close out the school year. Once site work is completed in July, we plan on moving their materials from Lakeshore back, or moving their materials within the building to their new space. And we plan to welcome everybody back in early August to start moving back into those classrooms. Keep an eye out. The district will be communicating on an open house in August. And we expect to be fully open for kindergarten orientation this year. So we're on track. We're doing well. Couple quick photos. On the left is the new courtyard. It is just lacking the top coats of finish to make that look nice and pretty. And then over time, everything will grow in and fill that area out.
That circle there, is that like for reading?
That circle is almost a small mini amphitheater. Yep. So there's bench seating all the way around that circle, and it's just a group area. The curve that you see on the left-hand side is meant to be a small island. The pathway will actually look like a small river running through the courtyard. Okay. On the right is the main entrance. So what we're looking at from the parking lot would be the new visitors entrance. And on the very left edge of that picture, that's where you're going to see new Bear Road Elementary School signage on the blank white wall all the way on the left. That'll be backlit so that it'll shine nicely from the street, but we'll also have a new digital sign out at the street itself when we're done with the project. So a couple of classrooms that are verging on the verge of completion. Look very similar to some of the active stuff that you've seen already. These are some of the new spaces that we're finishing up now. So on the top left is a project space. This is another one of those creative group spaces that we've created in the building. On the top right is the cafeteria, which is currently being used as a gymnasium. The clouds you see up on the ceiling are there for acoustics. So they dampen the sound a little bit, make it a little more tolerable in that great big wide open space. And on the bottom left, you can see the new gym floor going in. Again, on the gym walls, you see the panels halfway up the wall. Those are also acoustic to deal with the sound in the gymnasium. And you'll see there's a new sound system going in. You can see all the speakers up in the ceiling. Same system in the cafeteria as well. So that's really it for Bear Road. So we've got a lot of other projects going on through our Structured for Success referendum. Allen Road Elementary's roof was passed previously. That will be going on immediately after school lets out. The HVAC project phase 1 at CNS will be kicking off roughly in August. We'll be going out to bid this summer. And the Smith Road Playground also is due for approval from SED any day now. We do expect to start that in early fall. We have our chiller estimates in review right now. We'll be waiting about 6 months for that to arrive for the junior high. Renovations for Lakeshore and the renovations at the high school for the auditorium and gym and the new locker rooms, et cetera, will be, are in design currently. We've engaged a little bit on CNS, and in this fall, we'll really be hitting Lakeshore pretty hot and heavy to get that moving. We had the pool in early stages of schematic design. It will actually go into design development along with Cicero Elementary, following up the work we're doing now. Our energy performance project has been awarded. Danforth Mechanical will be working with us on that project. They will be out on June 2nd to kick that off and start the design process on it. And there's always much more to come. So thank you very much for all your support. It's very appreciated.
Okay, just a couple of things. I don't want to get upset.
No worries.
Oh, yeah. Say KWS. I hope it says Carl W. Siley Bear Road out. That's what was down there before. You weren't here. KWS, in my estimation, is not good enough.
I'll take it under advisement.
Because I'll tell you, you'll get some great. And then the other thing I talked to you about, Matt, is I talked to Dan about every time a building is renovated, there's a plaque that is put in, just as you saw the 1956 plaque. If you go over to Smith Road, you'll see that plaque. And the board members and whoever are on it, please, Mary Scanlon's name needs to be on it. She was a board member for the 2 years that was under construction, just as we did with Kay. So, thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
You're welcome. I'm always a troublemaker, you know that.
Other questions? Okay, I will move on. Comments from the audience. Do we have speakers signed up today? We do not. Okay. Then Board of Education Committee reports. I'll start with Mrs. Scanlon for policy.
Thanks for saying that, Bob.
Welcome.
I'm just a little thrown off here. Our policy committee, we met on Thursday, May 5th via Zoom. We had 11 policies that were reviewed and 10 are on tonight's agenda for board approval. 8 we're recommending to amend and readopt. 2 we are recommending to readopt without change, and 1 we tabled for our next meeting, which is Tuesday, June 21st. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Crabtree, report on legislative.
I'll make it as short as I can.
Thank you.
We met virtually on May 4th. We had a wonderful presentation by Jason Clark on technology, and I've asked Dan to have Jason come. The board will love this presentation on the history in this district of technology, but also where we're going with it. It was great. You know, thank you. And I know Dan's going to say things, so I'm going to not ruin it. I'm really not going to ruin it. But thank you to Lori Cook and the team for getting out the vote. You know, and I have to definitely thank Jamie Sullivan at the high school. Every time I went to an event, there were brochures there. They were plastered all over I guess you had a lot to do with this, plastered all over the window. So people really knew about this vote. There's no excuse that they didn't vote. And so we had a challenge. And we had 1,488 last year. Jill, do you remember? It was 17 something. So Mr. Keegan does not have to shave his head because of that challenge. And we'll have a little surprise in a couple weeks. You want me to go into BOCES?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Quickly, BOCES, because we have somebody here from BOCES. A reminder and thank you to the board for moving our next meeting to 7 o'clock because this place is going to be jammed with hundreds of cars, about 300 graduates at the junior high at 6 o'clock on June 6th. from all over the county, West Genesee, Beeville, have not had this for 3 years. And we have quite a few North Syracuse kids graduating from our programs. And I know the other one that Mr. Bowles will probably go to is on June 10th. And that's a special one, Crossroads and TEP, Baker High School team and OCC. It's a very special graduation. It only takes 30 minutes. If you're available on June 10th at the main campus, 11 o'clock. I talked about the Skills USA at the state fair. There were 2 state winners, Riley Collier from West Genesee in auto collision and Matt Sheffield Auto Tech from Fabius Pompey. They will be going on to Atlanta. I've been attending some things. My car gets to go to Cortland, Seven Valleys New Tech National Honor Society. And then over at Ramada Inn on May 18th, we had the National Tech Honor Society for Onondaga, and many CNS students who are in all kinds of programs, Lockheed Martin and so forth, were on the Honor Society. But something I thought we really need to talk about was Charlie Wilson runs and I can't think of the name, criminal justice program. And he always asks the students to write about someone that made a difference in their life. And Riley Chappell is a senior at CNS, and he wrote about Shannon Heffron. Shannon is a guidance counselor. And this is what he said, just a few words. Shannon Heffron is, if not the best school officials I've met during my time as a student, always willing to go above and beyond to help a student however she can. Mrs. Heffron is the ideal counsel. And I think that's an honor to our school district, that a student at our school district picked somebody, didn't pick a BOCES teacher, he chose a CNS person. And that is it for the legislature. One last thing though, is that we will be losing Senator Mannion from this district. It was approved a couple days ago, last week, that Cicero, North Syracuse, Salina, and Syracuse will go to Senator May, which is wonderful. But Senator Mannion, and she was a teacher too, but Senator Mannion really cares about education, and we're losing a great senator for our school district. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Crabtree. Superintendent Bowles. Yes.
Thank you. I'd like to thank our staff, board members, and the community for passing the budget this past Tuesday. The positivity of the people coming out was just absolutely amazing. It shows that our community is trusting us to do the work, and they're seeing the results with our students, our programs, as you see with the grants and looking at doing some STEM activities. We're looking to become one of the best districts in Central New York, and the community is helping us with that support. So thank you. A few other things, the KWS Bear Road Elementary, you've seen some wonderful changes. I was there last week, and it just amazes me every single week, the newness and the different things that are going on in the building. So I can't wait for you to get over and see some of the new changes since the last time you went to visit. Again, reminding teachers, the weather is getting nicer as the kids are going out for recess. Drink plenty of water. It's got real hot this past week. I mean, it's going to cool down now, but again, trying to make sure students are staying hydrated. Last Wednesday, I had the opportunity to stop at the high school in the evening for a dinner with the Umoja group, which was a celebration of diversity at CNS. And it was just a great evening where students and families came together to celebrate the different cultures that we have within the district and at the high school. And I'm looking forward to many more end of the year celebrations. Usually I'm just trailing Bob by maybe an hour or two from event to event. We do have some athletic events going on as well and sectional play. And I just wish all of our teams the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowles. Board of Education comments. I have a few, and I apologize because it thought long and hard about this, but I'll start with something positive, and that is the thanking the community for the support on the budget. There was a number of propositions. They all passed, so it's phenomenal to see that kind of support of this school district. But I wanted to say something that kind of piggybacks on what Mr. Crabtree said after the moments of silence. Because it'll make no difference what I say today. That's what kind of angers me right now. But I felt compelled to, I wrote it down thinking, all right, I'll stick to what I write and I won't get in trouble. But chances are that's not going to be what happens here. But, you know, we see this tragic event in Buffalo. And then we get hit deeper because we find out the motivation of the accused. It's documented. And, you know, one of our own, somebody who passed through this district ends up being one of the numbers that in many places in this country is just probably a statistic. But, you know, we reflect on this and already I counted two shootings since that date. I look online, NPR reported on May 15th, 198 events since the beginning of 2022. And I looked at that and read it again, 198 since 2022. You know, but here's my concern. Right away, there'll be somebody, if they listen to me, which people don't, I'll be criticized because I quoted an NPR statistic because that labels me. And I think that's part of the problem in this country. You know, this was a targeted group of people because of their race, and the documentation and the motivation behind this act should be a wake-up call. But I think any of us who've been here long enough, not just on this board, but have been alive, have seen this over and over again, and it just doesn't stop. And yeah, it happens in other countries, but the frequency and the scale of this is a phenomena in America. So if you look at your NSBA publications, I thought maybe to stay sane, I'd look at what, and they put out a statement, and I'm going to read their statement, and it goes as follows. This horrible act of violence gives us greater resolve to serve our students and communities throughout New York State. We must help instill in our students respect, civility, tolerance, and kindness. We encourage those in our communities to be active participants at every level in our democracy. This is the only way we can make sure our voices are heard and to make sure our democracy and our communities stay strong. Then the Board of Regents put out a statement. Students in Buffalo and around the state and nation will need help understanding and coping with what has happened. New York's entire educational community will be there to support our students' social and emotional needs, to teach and model the values of fairness, inclusiveness, and respect for all. In the end, to demonstrate that goodness, compassion, and open-mindedness will always prevail over hatred and ignorance. That is why our schools are more important than ever. That is why our schools are more important than ever. That stuck out to me because I think we've put a lot of resources into SEL. You talk about that, Terry, a lot. Matt, I noticed the other day, we're standing here waiting for the vote, and somebody pointed out your button that's red and people think it says something else, but what does it say when you look at it? Make empathy great again. Why do I point that out? I mean, because I pick up this paper on board, and now SEL, that we've put a lot of resources in, is a target of the culture wars. If you read this, because SEL is now being discussed as a way to soften our students as a gateway into other things like this DEI. DEI means diversity, equity, inclusion. And I don't understand how that's become a bad word, yet I've sat in this room not too long ago, and I'm sorry that it's uncomfortable that I say this and I could be criticized. I'm up for election if I'm running it in 2 years. If you don't want somebody who feels this way, I don't want to be here. But I heard somebody say to me, not to me, to this group, that diversity, teaching diversity is dividing us, is teaching us to divide each other when we should be unified. And I just had trouble digesting that when I left here that night. And then we see what happens. Our schools are more important than ever. Teaching diversity is more important than ever. Diversity, equity, and inclusive, and then it's under attack right now as some other heinous conspiracy to indoctrinate our students. We were told here that we hire people of specific political ideology to come in and indoctrinate our students. I heard those words come out of someone's mouth, not at a board meeting, at a public hearing on the budget. Yet I see the great support we had here for the budget, and I'm hoping we have the majority of the people, I'm sure we have a majority of the people in this community that support us, support our efforts, support SEL, support DEI, because that's the only hope that we have, not just in this country, but in this community. And I'm sorry if I went off a bit, but this has been bugging me for more than a week. Because sure as I sit here, we'll see this again. And as Bob mentioned, all I see, and this is a mistake, I look at the news every day, I shouldn't, but there's so much hate. So much hate. And when I was a little kid and I'd come home and whine about something that Johnny, and that was the real kid up the street who bullied me, say to me, and my mother say, sticks and stones break your bones. Won't break your names will never hurt you. And back in 1960, whatever, names didn't hurt you because Johnny wasn't going on 12 different social media outlets to call me names. But you know what? Words matter now. Words matter. And this will be sick, but you pay attention to history. Wasn't too long ago that a bunch of lies about a group of people were repeated over and over and over and over again until an entire country followed it and believed it because they heard it enough. But we teach history because we want to learn from our mistakes, but we're not. And I'll end with that. But again, I respect what you put out, Mr. Bowles. I really do. I think it was a great statement. I think we have to be not afraid to make people uncomfortable by talking about things like SEL, diversity, equity, inclusion, despite what we're going to be accused of by a very vocal minority of people. That's my Board of Education comments. Anybody else? I will move on. Oh, I would have deferred.
One thing, and I don't know if this is Don, it came up at OCM BOCES the other night from the West Hill board member, insurance for cybersecurity. I don't know where we are with that, but it's either going up drastically or insurance companies are dropping school districts. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but it came up at our board meeting and Matt is going to look into it. But just to be aware, insurance companies do not want to pay for the cybersecurity. And I have to be careful because it was done in private, but it's bad. Cybersecurity, it's and both of you know, Matt and Mike, how easy it is to get in and get our data. So just to be.
Bob, just to respond to that,
Go ahead,
we had a
please.
very difficult renewal last year with a significant premium increase. Our IT team has been amazing, though, just implemented multi-factor authentication and a number of things that the insurance company was looking for. And so we're hopeful that we'll have a better renewal this year.
So thank you, but West Hill was talking about that. Last year, we had a special recognition of our retirees. We did it a little differently. Jason's not here tonight, but I thought he did a great job with that. I think if we get out and pick a night and do it like we did last year, I like the way the administrators showed up for that, how they read, because we need to recognize our retirees. And I thought last year was a little bit better than
Yes.
what we've done in the past.
I did speak to Mr. Nephew about that, and he does have a date in mind and try to replicate exactly what we did last year. It would take place at the junior high
Awesome.
and try to continue that process instead of kind of huddling up in
It was
here.
it was really well done last year, and not a lot of people came, but I think if you get a little more publicity for it. I did look online that budget votes, 668 budget votes were approved, 7 were not, and most of those 7 were over the tax cap. 99%. Dan's talk about our teams, and this one really reached out to me. The ladies golf team, #1 in their division, and that's been a long time coming. Congratulations to the ladies golf team, because that's amazing thing. Dollars for Scholars, everybody, if you want to know, is June 7th at 6:30, and I think Paul's speaking, and I think Mr. Bowles is speaking, and it's going to be shorter. I promise. It's going to be shorter. Wednesday is the Central New York School Boards Association, and thanks to Jill for sending our names in. Mr. Mannion will be the speaker. Senator Mannion will be the speaker. Wonderful dinner. You get to see a lot of superintendents and board members. Mike and I really enjoy that. A concern about NISPA in Syracuse. Do you know the concern?
No.
As you know, it's coming to Syracuse. It's usually in New York or wherever. Well, it happens to be Notre Dame football weekend. And the convention has no hotel. I mean, they have a hotel to put on the convention, but for rooms and things, they're already little to find rooms. So people from out of town are going to have a hard time. And that whole hotel celebrates, believe me, before a football game. So just to be aware about that. And that is about it.
Thank you. All right, any other comments? Seeing none, I will move on and ask for a motion for the consideration of the approval of the minutes of the meeting of May 2nd. Motion from Mr. Crabtree, second from Mrs. Scanlon. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. If I get a motion to place B, C, and D together, motion from Dr. Kramer, second from Ms. Kruger. B being these are the classification of placement of disabled students for in-school, for preschool, and for home. So we have B, C, and D before us. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? They are carried. Motion, please, for E, acknowledgement of business reports. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Moody Woosick. Any discussion that's before us? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. A motion for the consideration of contract awards. Motion from Ms. Kruger, second from Dr. Kramer. Any discussion?
I just have some
Yes.
questions. So for the automotive supplies, can we just go over this? Like, what is the stadium truck? Like, what is that? Yeah, are we buying a new truck? Okay. Okay, that's all I had a question. what that
Okay.
was.
Other questions? Okay, that is before us. All in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. Discussion action items. A, if I get a motion, place that before us. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Maurizio. This is for the appointment of the voting system specialists. I thank Jill for the email today clarifying why we have this on today. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. B, the OCM equivalent of attendance, employment preparation, education, adult education sponsorship agreement. Motion for that. Motion from Mr. Crabtree, second from Ms. Scanlon. You nodded your head. I didn't see your hand. I'm sorry. Any discussion that's before us?
A question about this too.
Okay,
So for the cooperative bidding, like, why weren't some of the other bids done through BOCES? Like sports equipment's on there and automotive is on there. Why do we do that separately?
So we work closely with BOCES on many of the bids that they do. But we found that we've gone back and compared, because of the specific things we need, we've gone back and compared the bid results that BOCES gets from some of ours. And in some cases, the ones that we pursue, we're actually getting better prices from our bid. And it's usually due to maybe some of the unique nature of the different things we buy. But we've looked at this and we kind of have conversations every year about it, because our purchasing person also manages our health insurance and stuff. And so I'm always looking for ways to leverage the relationship with BOCES. But we've kind of concluded on the few that we've looked at that due to the nature of what we're doing and also the size of our district, we're big enough that we get attractive bids on when we put out a bid proposal or a request. But we're also small enough sometimes that a bidder would go after our stuff as opposed to everything for the entire BOCES. So it's something we look at every year. It's a good question. I ask it every year.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, that is before us. Any other further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that carried. And item C, if I get a motion, place that before us. It's a corrective action plan recommended by the internal auditors. Motion from Ms. Kruger, second from Mr. Moody Woosick. Any discussion there? That's pretty much laid out for you if you looked at that. And we had the corrective action plan emailed earlier in the year. Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Motion place D before us, please. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Dr. Kramer. D is the abolishment and creation of instructional positions based upon the adoption of the 22-23 budget. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. E, please, resolution to create 1.0 FTE Human Rights Advisor and Hidden Opponent Club Advisor at CNS. Motion from Ms. Scanlon, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Acknowledgement of gift. Motion to accept that, please. Motion from Dr. Kramer, second from Mr. Moody Woosick. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. And the declaration of marketable and non-marketable goods is before us. A motion to accept that. Dr. Kramer, second from Ms. Kruger. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. If I get a motion, I would like to put all the, oh, that's not the policies yet. Oh, motion for, okay, H, I'm sorry, starting the policies. If I get a motion to place the policies together, H through P, motion from Ms. Scanlon, second from Mr. Thorne. And as Mary reported, we have 10 that are acted upon, 8 amended and recommended for readoption, 2 readopted as is, and 1 tabled. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you. We have retirement to acknowledge, and that is Denise Wallace, School Secretary 1, retiring with 32.4 years of service. So congratulations. It's a lot of service. That'll be in Support Staff Personnel Report B. And I wish her luck and a happy and long retirement. Yeah. Instructional Report A, motion to place that before us, please. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Maurizio. That is before us now. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. Motion to put Support Staff Personnel Report B before us. Motion from Mr. Crabtree, second from Dr. Kramer. Any discussion? Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, and that is carried. An Administrative Personnel Report C. Motion from Mr. Thorne, second from Mr. Crabtree. Any discussion?
I would just like to say, represented by file from the Park District, Patterson Road, where I took a tour of the program that looks at students from both the city and from county, and the marvelous job she did. And then went on the road where many of our kids are, many of our students that have, Mike's been there, Xavier's been there, Paul's been there. It's a very difficult road. She has a way of working with teachers and students. So I
Thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Congratulations. Mhm. I'm gonna make a motion now to move into executive session for the purpose of reviewing the employment records of two individuals with no action to follow, to receive an update on negotiations with the director's bargaining unit with no action to follow, to receive an update on negotiations with the food service bargaining unit with no action to follow, and to discuss the SRO program with no action to follow. Get a second from Mr. Marizio. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed, that is carried. And please, a motion for adjournment. Motion from Mr. Moody Woosick, second from Mr. Herman. No discussion, all in favor? Opposed, we are adjourned. Thank you.